Mallory Swanson returning to Chicago is that Donald Glover Community meme where you walk in with a bunch of pizzas to the house on fire and everyone freaking out. That's what that felt like. Hello, and welcome to Expected Own Goals, one of the better Chicago Stars performances of the season edition. I am your host, Eric Morgan.
And I am Evan Davis. Another absolutely brutal day to be a Chicago Stars fan in our featured game of the week, and an increasingly good day to be a North Carolina Courage fan who advertised yet another sellout, 10,000 people in a stadium that probably isn't fit for purpose in this league anymore. 4-0 over Chicago. Real statement game for what North Carolina has been building to.
A real statement game in both directions.
Yeah, right. For good and for ill.
Yeah. Let's start with the bad and get Chicago out of the way, because I really think this is a North Carolina episode more than it is a Chicago episode. Is this Chicago Stars team the most fucked franchise you have seen in professional sports? It's really tough.
I don't know if I'd be ready to answer that question just yet. There are multiple ways that the Chicago Stars are going in the wrong direction. The most obvious one being that they're very bad, and they project to continue being very bad. The other is that they're not spending much money on their roster, and they don't project to spend much more money on their roster to try and improve things. And then the other thing is that the contracts that they do have, they are all on the wrong side of the both age and longevity curve, because players signed through the end of 2028. Chicago and Angel City are the two teams with the most players in that regard. Here's the big difference. Chicago has 4 such players over the age of 28, and Angel City have 1.
The writing was on the wall about this team years ago. And instead of making prudent choices and investing in talent that they could grow and improve, they've really just continued to jam a square peg into a round hole and pretend like it works occasionally. The stadium situation is not any better than it was.
For a lot of reasons. I mean, it's not only that
it's not tenable long term. Yeah.
It's not tenable long term, nor was it ever going to be. And as we've said a lot, like the wind issues are very notable. And something our buddy Leslie Ryder pointed out, that it is not very accessible for people with different abilities. That's NWSL 2015 shit.
I'm not even impressed with Martin Schuldgren. I fear I won't need to know his name or how to pronounce it for very long if Chicago's sacking of managers is to be continued. This is a team that went through 4 managers last year. It's stunning, even down to Elise Evans, highly touted college player. I know that there's some data that we have that is a little less encouraging of her. But at some point, you have to say, no matter what she is, your defense is so bad that she might as well get a look. And with Mal Swanson coming onto the field and Alyssa Nair going off injured, she is now the only player on the Chicago Stars to not see a single minute this season.
To that point, Hugan got asked about that and made an implication that Evans was maybe not yet pro ready, but that she was getting close. And then he almost threw this line away where he said, yeah, but after today, I think there are a lot of places in the lineup that are going to be a lot more competitive going forward. Listen, I mean, I don't know anything about Martin Hugren outside of the teams he has coached and their records. Like, you know, and he's made a couple of boneheaded sounding comments in press conferences, but this isn't ultimately his fault. Like, this is a terribly constructed roster, and I don't know any coach who could do a whole hell of a lot better than what he has done. This is Laura Ricketts, Karen Lietzo, and Richard Foyt's fault.
Pour one out for old Lauren Donaldson, who may have, in his own very ineffective way, found the only way to win with the Chicago Stars team. Yeah. Even occasionally, because no one who's come in has done better than benefiting from the faux new coach bounce. This is really tough. And frankly, I say all of this, I was only being a little tongue-in-cheek. They registered 0.7 XG this game and only conceded 2.1 XG this game, which is one of their better performances of the season.
And yet was a thorough and complete drubbing all the same.
Normally, they allow teams to be better in attack, and they don't create as much as 0.71 XG.
They conceded a ton of finishing, a ton of post-shot XG from North Carolina throughout the game, and maybe you'll be like, oh, well, Alyssa Nair going off so early, maybe that threw them. I mean, Alyssa Nair's been bad, so no. Hallie Makowicz have a good game today? No, she did not. But
Hard situation to come into.
hard
Yeah.
situation to come into, and if Nair played the full 90, I mean, it could very easily have ended up exactly the way it ended up.
Yeah, and also as we talk about a lot with the quality chance stat that we really value, 75% of goals or so come from chances with a 0.15 xG or greater.
Higher than that, it's like 80%.
Exactly. It's a huge number. And Chicago gave up 6 of those today. And so 4 goals, despite only 2.1 xG, is not crazy when you think about the quality of chances they gave up, particularly in that, like, the Schlegel goal is actually in the threshold of even higher quality chance. There's sort of a tier of 0.15 to like 0.33, and the Schlegel goal's even above that. And those are like 50% of the goals over 0.33 xG.
Right.
50% of all goals scored come from those kinds of chances. Is there anything else you want to say about Chicago? Mal Swanson's back. It's a disaster for her.
They're going to need to get Jamise Joseph back as well to make the attack look anywhere close to viable. I mean, both of those players are going to have to get the ball in the first place, and how the fuck does that happen with the way that like players like Julia Grossa and Monica Hayashi are playing? Like, it's just an absolute mess. Just an absolute
I mean, like, you need look no further than Jordan Heitema's positioning this game.
Yeah. It's a funky pass network because it's being taken from the 21st to the 52nd minute, essentially between the two subs when Makowicz.
No, but you look at her heat map, and it's like, it's bad.
It's really bad. When your average touch position is in your own half and you're the striker, kind of tells you everything you need to know.
As much stick as we give Heitema from time to time, in this game, she got herself on the end of Chicago's best chance, and B, it's not an easy chance necessarily to finish, but what is she supposed to do?
Exactly.
Legitimately, what is she supposed to do? It's just such a mess. And maybe we'll break this down a little bit further, but this Chicago team, I hate to say it because where my confidence lies is not complimentary. And I feel genuinely awful for Chicago Stars fans who are exhibiting a kind of loyalty that very few fans tend to exhibit, because this team is awful.
Yeah, they're projected right now by the Larna Elo model to finish with 23 points. That's 0.77 points per game. That would come in as one of the worst all-time NWSL records in league history. Meanwhile, the North Carolina Courage, a team that I, in the first few weeks of the season, had a tough time wrapping my mind around, just because we had a lot of competing data points about where they were sitting. They're good.
Yeah, I've been
good.
more confident in being able to say that about them. And it's really once Manaka came back and you saw what the potential of all of that attack unlocked is. Makland and co have been a little unfortunate to concede early in games. And I think that that's suppressed their points total in a way that doesn't reflect their true talent level. If you have questions about this team, you can ask them maybe a little bit about what's happening in the Danny Weatherholt, Felly Rauch position. Maybe you can ask a little bit about their defense. Kaylin Sheridan's been totally solid.
Which is, by the way, it's unusual for a Courage team of the last few years to be a little bit more defensively soft than what their attacking performance has been. The thing that's like making North Carolina sing right now is like everything that forward attacking group is producing.
And it will cover, I'm not even really call them blemishes, but the non-extraordinary quality of their defense as demonstrated so far this year. You can have a league average defense if you've got this attack and go a long way. And this attack is humming.
Yeah,
at this
and
point.
when you look at the points per game numbers, they're 8th, so still low playoff mix. But once you look at the XG and you take out the game state stuff to refer to the early concessions, and you adjust for strength of schedule and home away, they're 5th right now. It's all riding the backs of their attackers. I mean, where do we start? Manaka, Ashley Sanchez, Evelyn EJ, every single one had at least one quality chance on the day.
And Ashley Sanchez had, 3? Let's start with Ashley Sanchez, because I think there are sort of two stories here. One is she is taking this league by storm in a way that she kind of hasn't since her rookie year. A lot of that is being propped up by some good finishing right now. It's not that her numbers aren't very good. The underlying numbers are solid with her. They're very good. They're just not world-breaking the way she has been world-breaking. That said, this game is a perfect example of her ability to come from out in and find space and create her own shot or create chances for others. She had a pretty impeccable 67 or so minutes in this game where she dropped a dime on Ija's head for Ija's first goal and then drove home a finish after missing a couple of quality shots. She's going to be really tough to deal with.
They were obviously much better in the second half, where all the goals came from, and they had that very concentrated period in the first 20 minutes of the second half where they were just running riot over Chicago and capitalizing on a lot of Chicago's mistakes. But there were 3 quality chances from Manaka, Riley Jackson, Natalia Stodd in the first half. They were getting their looks, and it's always difficult to know, would they have put up a 4-0 performance if they had welcomed Washington to town rather than Chicago? But I think it is more important to note just how cohesive. It's a theme I've been using a lot this week. They just look a lot more cohesive than they had in past weeks. I mean, you brought up Manaka coming back. The structure that Mocklin wants to put in place kind of looks like what it did against Chicago. Maybe pushed a lot higher up than it would have with another opponent. Using Manaka as the 10 and Sanchez as the left winger who can interchange with each other and make a triangle with Evelyn Ije. And then Riley Jackson being pushed further up than Shinomi Koyama and doing the same thing on the right side with your right winger and fullback gives you these 2 wide overloads. And a lot of what they were doing was coming from long switches and crosses. Makes total sense that you've got like these 2 very nice, tight attacking triangles on either side of EJ where she can like move in between and decide like where she wants to be effective in. And when you're up against a team that just like cannot get its shit together, you'll wear them down eventually. And that's what the second half was in those first 20 minutes.
As much as Sanchez has overperformed this year, EJ has underperformed. This being her debut goal, her shot map is just a dream target striker shot map. And that she only has 1 goal out of it is a byproduct of bad luck as opposed to anything else. So what makes me feel more confident about the solidity of this team is that for as much as Ashley Sanchez right now, when you look at it, seems like the talismanic figure that needs to carry this team, actually you've got from all of their other attacking players really, really positive and productive numbers. And as Sanchez naturally regresses, the distribution of these goals probably won't go down. They'll just be spread as opposed to being primarily Sanchez goals. And that's great. EJ's doing all the right stuff. You look at their shot map in this game, and granted, I know the comment and I know the caveat we're going to get when this goes out is, well, it's Chicago. And the answer is, this just looks more like what they've been doing as opposed to this is an anomaly. They've been getting themselves in good shooting positions regularly as a team. Opponent blind. I mean, they did this against Portland. They did this against Boston as they chased a game. They've done this against good teams. Mocklin, you can offer skepticism about any new manager who comes into this league and says, I really just want to attack, or I want to go goal mad. But actually, Mocklin's version of this has activated all of their attackers in really productive ways. The adjustment that any team has to make and that Chicago can't make in this particular game is, well, how do you limit the opportunities of these players to even get the ball at their feet? And that feels like the only way you shut this team down.
Where once there was overstructure in their attacking plans, there's now a fair degree of fluidity in what North Carolina is able to do. I mean, to have a center forward that works and to have a game plan that activates, good things out of a center forward, that's never anything that Sean Nahas was either able to figure out or had the personnel available to him to figure out. And that is very exciting and new.
EJ is going to be a problem, just generally speaking, for opposition to deal with. Normally, when you have a target forward, what you need for that target forward to work are a lot of attackers that orbit that target forward. You kind of couldn't design it better than having Manaka Matsukubo and Ashley Sanchez to be those orbiting figures, because that's all they want to do.
Are they all of a sudden a pure counterattacking, direct transitional side? No. They're still on the higher end of the possession spectrum. If you look at the classic x-axis is the number of passes per your possession sequence, y-axis is how fast are you moving the ball forward. They're in the lower right corner with the high possession sides like Gotham and San Diego. So it's not as though Nahas ball leached out of their DNA, but because they know how to make those pieces unpredictable and to have a center forward who seems to be able to create space for herself and like move off the shoulder and like be a combination option, allows for those crosses and switches to not just be hit to nowhere the way they used to in North Carolina's history. It's exciting. Now, like, let's not get out over our skis too much. Marner Elo model projects them for 7th place right now. Their XG differential, once you strip out game state and strength of schedule, is 5th place. Good, but it's not outlier level. Like, they're a very good playoff caliber team. They're not necessarily playing at the level where they're going to challenge for a home playoff game in the quarterfinals. But whatever, you know how this league goes. Things can break their way. To have this level of tactical plan and the numbers to back it up suggests that just keep everybody healthy and you might be able to ride out a very nice campaign here.
A lot of it starts from fullback defensive spacing turning into really quick wide play because you have a lot of your wide-ish players who are happy to drop back, receive the ball, and then take it. But you have this layering and overlapping that's happening in attack that is all really stable. North Carolina is one of those teams that with Riley Jackson and Shinomi Koyama, you can risk playing high wide because when you lose the ball, you're in a stable defensive set.
Yeah.
Moreover, Riley Jackson this year is putting up numbers. The evolution of Riley Jackson is solid. She is one of the better central midfielders in this league at this point in what she's doing. Some of it is on-ball defense, but her passing is good too. She's just evolving into a really productive all-around player. And she is at the place in her age curve and timeline where I expect her to continue getting better throughout the season as she's activated more. And we know from talking to her, she's one of the headiest midfielders in the league already.
Yeah, and with regard to wide attack, Ryan Williams' performances speak for themselves in terms of the kind of passing she can offer on the right side. But Danny Weatherholt, now 3 seasons into the fullback experiment, is starting to click as a progressive option, especially in Feli Rauch's absence. And she's one of the main feeders of the ball to Manaka and Sanchez on the left to like have them start creating combinations. But she's the thing that initially unlocked them. Again, she had the space and the time to do it because she was dealing with Chicago on the other side. But like the way that North Carolina probably can continue to make this look effective is to get Danny Weatherholt more consistently passing well. And then you have basically everybody in the group being an outlet while also not being so neutered when you have the ball the way that they have been in years past. Like it's all just kind of coming together right now.
Manaka Matsukubo, it's amazing how little we've talked about her in this episode, but it's because we just sort of like let her be as one of the best attackers in the league. Look, she fanned on a chance that was huge in the first half. Hard chance to finish, but how she is as an attacker is such that at this point it was kind of shocking that it was shocking on the order of Temwa Chawinga missing a chance because she has become so clinical as a player. If you game plan for her, first off, she's all over the place now. She's playing more midfielder than she played last year when she won midfielder of the year. And it's because she is seeking the ball wherever and then making things happen.
By the way, it's not even close that she is North Carolina's best player.
For all the numbers that Ashley Sanchez is putting up, and Ashley Sanchez is great. Manaka Matsukubo's contract is up at the end of this year, and all North Carolina should be figuring out is what to give her to keep her here, because she will have offers from everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure Carrie Bally is fighting tooth and nail to try to get an extension done now, because the longer the calendar goes without an announcement, the more Chelsea, Arsenal, Lyon, everybody's going to be circling the waters. They're going to smell blood.
She is a legit superstar. She is the person you build a franchise around for the next half decade. She's just outrageous. Back up the money truck for her, whatever it takes. I just think of the scene in Network with the great Ahmed Khan firing a bullet into the ceiling, screaming, "Give him the fucking overhead clause." What she's doing at this age is emerging as one of the best attackers in the world in a league where she doesn't get any days off. And with the team that last year really left her to do it all, and this year actually has all the pieces that can support her to help her become even better. This is why I've been high on North Carolina for a number of weeks, and why this Macklin system I've found really encouraging is because it activates Manaka Matsukubo in a way that she deserves to be activated. It's a system that acknowledges what you do when you have a quality player. The knock-on effects for the rest of the attack have been downright great. By the way, Natalia Stoud's been good in defense too.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear. They're good across the board.
Evelyn Ej's move is a super encouraging one. That a player about whom there were many questions if she could translate to the league, especially like given the center forward curse that North Carolina has been under for 4 years. If she keeps producing like this, where do they have issue other than like maybe depth where they should probably flesh out a bench a little bit, you know?
Yeah, but even then, they rolled out Ali Schlegel, who got a goal. Ali Schlegel is a great bench piece on a team that's attempting to compete.
Yes, and let's really underline, she is a great bench piece for people who think Ali Schlegel is the second coming of Christ. Great in 30-minute bursts.
My God, she had the funniest interview after the game, how it felt to score against Chicago, and she was just pretty good.
Bless her. Anyway, stock is up on North Carolina. Stock is way, way down on Chicago.
When we do our big breakdown of where these teams are, North Carolina is crawling into the tier of definite playoff team, but playoff and more. We don't need to talk about the tier that Chicago lives in by itself, but otherwise.
It's brutal. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed our featured game of the week. If you are not yet a member of our Patreon, $6 a month gets you 4 exclusive bonus episodes every single month, plus discounts on our merch and a bunch of other cool access. So click the link in the show notes for that. Speaking of merch, limited editions XOG scarves are still available. Click the link in the show notes to buy one of those. Do all the things you're supposed to do with podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. Drop us a kind review. Tell all your friends about us. Follow us on social media at XOwnGoals. That's the letter X Own Goals. Very cool stuff coming to YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. You will not be able to find on the podcast feed. If you think we've made an own goal, please email us at xog@xowngoals.com. That's the letter xog@xowngoals.com. So we'll be back with you on Patreon later this week and talk to you to wrap up yet another weekend of NWSL action next week.
Bye.